All right, so today I'm going to talk about the Yeti Roadie 24, which is this gray cooler over here, and compare it a little bit to the Yeti Roadie 20, which is the white cooler, and this is the discontinued model, and this is the model that replaced it. So this is the 24, and this is the 20, and that's what I'm going to call them, because the saying Yeti Roadie 24 is kind of a tongue twister. So this is the 24, and then this is the discontinued 20 model. All right, so I've already done one video on the 24, and in that video I went through all the specs and features and all the new things that Yeti incorporated into this cooler. And in this video I want to compare the 24 to the 20, and specifically I want to talk about three things. So the first thing I want to do is just get a little bit of a closer look at the differences between the two coolers, and I won't spend a lot of time on that section because I've already covered kind of the new features and enhancements that Yeti made in my first video. The second thing I want to do is test the selling point of, hey, this cooler's got a smaller footprint, sits up taller, and it can fit in that space between your front and back seat, and I want to put that to the test as well. And then lastly, and most importantly, I want to test the capacity of beer and ice of each cooler and see what they can hold. All right, so here's the two coolers side by side, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this section. I just want to point out a couple of things. And very obviously, the 24 is taller than the 20, and it also has a smaller footprint, and it doesn't sit as low to the ground, and it's not as fat as the old 20 was. The other couple of obvious things is the 24 does not have a drain plug, whereas the 20 did, and that's probably one of the complaints of the 24. And then the latches are different. This one has what they call the T-Rex latches, and the latches have been redesigned, and I actually really like the latches now that I've used the cooler quite a bit. And they're very easy to operate, and again, go into detail about the latch operation in my prior video. So the last thing that I'm going to point out with the differences between the two coolers is the handles. And I can tell you that the strap handle on the Roadie 24, I love it. Now that I've used the cooler again more extensively than I did when I did my initial review, I really like that handle. It's much easier to deal with and much less of a pain than the old style handle there that's blocked in place and you have to like wrestle that thing off. Durable, high quality, but it's always a pain, and probably one of the complaints of that Roadie 20 is that handle. So as far as comparing the two coolers, that's really all I wanted to cover. I just kind of point out some of the differences. And I'm really excited to go out to the driveway to see if this will fit in that space between the front seat and back seat on my truck and my wife's car, and also whether or not it will fit standing upright in my wife's trunk of her car. So let's go check that out. All right, so this is the back seat of my truck. It's a 2015 Chevrolet truck, 4-door, 2500, so it's a pretty big truck, and it's got a pretty big space there. No doubt in my mind that the cooler will fit, but let's test it. Okay, so I'm kind of surprised by that because it really doesn't fit in that space. Now I can easily solve that because I can lift up this seat and stick it, put it right here, because if it's pressed up against there with the seat down, you can't even get to the latches to open it or anything like that. So I would say it does not fit with the seat down in that space between the front seat and back seat of my truck. All right, so this is my wife's car, and it's actually a 2020 Lexus, and there's no way. I'm not even going to try it behind the seat there because it's not going to fit in there at all, and I don't want to risk scratching the back of her seats, being that it's a brand new car. All right, now let's see if it fits in the trunk. And so it does fit in the trunk. A little bit of space space clearance there. Yeah, so it fits in the trunk easy, but certainly not behind the seat. All right, so on to my favorite part. I've got 2 cases of beer, 48 beers, and 2 10-pound bags of ice. Let's get these coolers filled up and see which one. Now, I know that the 24 is going to hold more than the 20 because it's obviously a bigger cooler, but I just want to show you guys the differences between the two and how the 24 holds the beer. It's pretty cool. All right, so on the 20, the base layer will hold 15 beers, and then I've always put 3 on the top like that. And I guess you could put 2 more in there, But to me, you start cutting into your ice, the amount of ice that you can put in there. So 18 beers to me is what I've always done with this cooler, or 18 drinks, and a 10-pound bag of ice will fit completely in there. Let me show you that. All right, so that's 10 pounds of ice, and as you can see, it's right at the top, and you'll even hear it kind of crunch a little bit when I shut it. So if you were to put 2 more beers in there, you would definitely cut into your ice, or the amount of ice that you're able to put in there. So 18 beers in a 10-pound bag of ice fits comfortably in there. The ice will melt down pretty quick, and you can add 2 more beers if you want to make it 20. All right, let's check out the 24. All right, so in the bottom of the 24, you can fit 12 beers, and now you're going to have to layer the next 12 on top of that one, and I'll show you in a second why that's really cool and why it works really well. All right, so there's the second layer, so that's 24 beers, and you still have quite a bit of space in there. Let's see if this 10-pound bag of ice fits. All right, so there's the cooler with 10 pounds of ice, and it fits. Let's see if we can close it. No problem at all. All right, so let me tell you what I think is so cool about this design and stacking the beers like that, because as you work your way down that first layer, the ice falls down into the cooler and will start cooling off that bottom level, those bottom 12 beers. And trust me, I've tested this before and it works really, really well. You'll notice that I didn't put any ice on the very bottom of the cooler, and they do sell some Yeti ice packs that I believe fit on the bottom, and they say if you do that, your lower level of beer will always be cold. But trust me, by the time you get past that first 12, the ice will have fallen down into the bottom of the cooler to the point where that second 12 down at the bottom will definitely be cold for you. So pretty cool design, and I've been nothing but impressed with this cooler. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this comparison between the two coolers. Again, this is the Roadie 20, and it's been discontinued by Yeti, and this is the Roadie 24. So the entry-level roto-molded hard cooler from Yeti is the Roadie 24. In the short time that I've had it, I really like it, and having owned the Roadie 20 for, I don't know, 7-8 years, I can tell you that I really appreciate the changes and the enhancements that they put into this cooler. All right, so if you like this video, check out my other, I've done a lot of Yeti reviews, so I've got a whole playlist that I'll flash up at the end of this video. And I've also just recently completed an 83 Jeep CJ7 build, and I put a 350 motor in it, so I did a 350 motor swap. Got, I think, 71 videos on that build, and I've just recently started a 78 Camaro build. So if you're interested in any of those, I'll put those playlists up here in just a minute. Thank you for your support, and really appreciate you guys watching. All right, I think it's time to get one of these cold beers out of this cooler, but one more important thing I forgot. Hang on a second. All right, so this is my black lab, Jake, here, and there's one thing this dog loves is ice, and I almost forgot to give him a piece. There he goes.